Kylie, before camp, had a lot of outward signs she needed help. Just watching that weight come off of her, and it's true, it's physically like a weight, and you can watch her shoulders lift and that smile return, and she finally started to realize that she was God's and that she was loved, and that no matter her circumstances, He sought her, He wants her.
My name is Kylie, and I grew up in the church. I lived with my mom. While I lived with my mom, my dad was in prison, and that was definitely difficult. And when I moved in with my dad, when I was like 13, like 2 months later, I actually lost my mom. So, that was difficult. It was hard, like I lived with my mom my whole life, and she was my best friend. She was probably more my best friend than she was my mom, but for like a long time, I never got through that, really. I had a lot of negative coping mechanisms. I didn't turn to anything positive. I struggled a lot with self-harm and, suicidal thoughts, tendencies, and eating disorders for a really long time.
A lot of the kids that come to our youth group don't have necessarily the stable home environment that you see on TV. They come from broken homes. They come from homes maybe that parents aren't even there. They're living with grandparents. They're living with siblings now that are barely adults themselves. They have parents that are in and out of prison. They have parents that have addiction problems. So they, like when I was a kid, had to be the adult at a very young age, and I see that on them. And when they come for youth group, they let it down a little bit, but when they go to camp, that gives them a chance to completely unplug, and they get to let their guard down, and they get to hear what God wants for them, and they get to hear whose they are. And I watch transformations in Kylie as well as several other kids that start praising and start openly realizing that they are loved.
I was going here, and I never really felt that I had that connection with God. I was trying and trying, but I was falling short. And then I went to church camp over the summer, and I really rededicated my life to God. I feel like God speaks to me through worship. We did this song. It's called Resurrender. I really liked it because it's like I spent a lot of my life feeling like I had finally reached that point with God, but I would fall back, and I would fall short and not be what I needed to be. And then that song just really convicted me and told me that, in order to have a relationship with God, you have to have a relationship with God. You need to want it. So giving my life to God was like a huge weight lifted off my shoulders, and I've never been more happy. It's so beautiful. Over church at summer camp, I feel God spoke to me to lead people in worship. I had no sense of direction before that, but I feel like He really touched me and told me that you are supposed to lead by people. You are supposed to lead people to me.
We got to take them away more than a day or two for them to finally open up to that. We have a Bible verse that they are fearfully and wonderfully made, and they need to hear that, and they need to hear it again and again and again. They are not an accident. They're not just there for no reason. They were made. They were formed. They were wanted. They're perfect. So things that may not seem like cool things are actually gifts that God has bestowed upon them that they can use. So it's pretty cool when they start realizing they're that important, every single one of them.
My youth group is probably the best youth group on the entire planet. They are the most loving people I've ever met in my life. They have God in their heart. They genuinely care. They love everyone, and they want the best for all of the people around them.